Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy, and today we're going to be doing some after the battle and some BFP matchmaking because, as you guys already know, Glover Teixeira went out there and he submitted Thiago Maeda Santos. I think he punched his ticket to a UFC title shot. So now we got to get right down to business. So thank you guys very much for joining me. As you guys know, today I'm combining both shows. You know, I'm combining After the Battle where we recap the fights, and then also BFP Matchmaking where we match up all the winners and then we set odds for where we think these guys should be lined in their next respective fights. And I'm very excited to be here and to be doing this with y'all. So thank y'all very, very much for joining me. Now, before we get started, as you guys already know, there's a couple things we got to talk about. Firstly, support for Half the Battle is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. And obviously, you guys want to avoid grooming accidents, but not only that, I mean, listen, if you got girls coming over yesterday, today, and tomorrow like I do, you got to make sure that you're well-kept and that you're groomed, because there's two things that women talk about when they're hooking up with you, and in terms of like what they tell their friends. Number one, they talk about how big you are, which is something you can't control. But the second thing, which is something you can control, is they talk about how well-groomed or well-kept you are or how manscaped you are. And that's where this comes in right here, because Manscaped redesigned the electric trimmer, and the Manscaped engineering team has perfected the best ball hair trimmer ever created and just created the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. And their third generation trimmers features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents. And when I tell you this is premium, I mean premium. The battery will last up to 90 minutes so you can take a longer shave, and the waterproof technology allows you to groom in the shower as well. And one of the coolest features is the LED light. Y'all see this badass LED light? What it does is it illuminates grooming areas for a closer and more precise trimming. They've also upgraded to 7,000 RPM motor with a quiet stroke technology. And let's not forget about the charging stand. Show your mower off loud and proud, because this intelligently designed stand is convenient and it's powered by USB. And if you're listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience this firsthand. Let's get that bush to tush clean. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BATTLE20 at manscaped.com. All caps, BATTLE20. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code BATTLE20 at manscaped.com. Make your testes their besties. One more time, get 20% off and free shipping with the code BATTLE20 at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. And as you guys know, we're running a little promotion right now. You go ahead and you go to manscaped.com. Use that promo code BATTLE20. You send me a screenshot that you use that code BATTLE20. I'm going to go ahead and match that with a Best Five Picks package. So like I said, you spend $39, I got you on the week. You spend $50, I got you the next 2 weeks. You spend $100, I got you on the month. You spend over $100, I got you for the rest of the year. All you got to do is send me a screenshot of your order and show me that you use the code BATTLE20, and then I'm going to take care of you. So your balls will thank you. Your bank account will thank you. She'll thank you. So I think it's worth it. So thank you guys very much. Now, let's get right down to business, because look, Glover Teixeira, I mean, when you talk about the heart of a lion, when you talk about someone that wants to get their UFC title shot, you talk about a guy like Glover Teixeira, who, I mean, it's not like he just went out there, took him down one time, and the fight was over shortly after. This guy had to go through hell to beat Thiago Maeda Santos. And Thiago's considered, I mean, listen, it's not just what I consider him in terms of the actual all-time rankings. He's number 2 on the all-time list for knockouts in UFC history, okay? The only person ahead of him, I believe, is either Rumble Johnson or Vitor Belfort. So Maeda is right there, number 2 all-time on the KOs list. But you know who went ahead and broke a record? You know who's not number 2? Glover Teixeira, because Glover Teixeira, now he's number 1 with the all-time finishes at light heavyweight, and he's number 1 with the all-time submissions in light heavyweight, the most submissions in light heavyweight history. So he surpassed OSP. He surpassed Johnny Bones Jones, Paul Craig, Misha Serkunov. So Glover, you're in a league of your own now. I think we're talking Hall of Fame now. But listen, the 41-year-old just punched his ticket to another title shot, and I think it's well deserved. So what I want to see is Glover Teixeira in there with either Jan Blachowicz, the current champion, or if they want to go ahead and do that Izzy fight, and let's say Izzy wins, Izzy versus Glover Teixeira. So those are the only 2 fights that make sense right now. I saw Alexander Rakic, calling him out like, Alex, you turn on a fight with Yuri Prohaska. How are you trying to call out this guy? It's one of those situations where it's like, he kind of sees oh, this guy's older and he's ranked higher. I can take advantage of that. Well, that's not how it works, Alex. You got to go to the back of the line now. No, I'm just kidding. But look, Glover's going to fight Jan Blachowicz or Izzy Adesanya. I don't want to see any other fight. Now, as far as lining those fights, I think Jan Blachowicz, just on the merit that he's the current champion, a slight lean on him, minus 135 for Jan Blachowicz. Now, however, if Izzy goes out there and defeats Jan Blachowicz and Izzy fights Glover, then I'm thinking maybe minus 275 for Israel Adesanya against Glover Teixeira. But look, it provided an interesting test for the great Israel Adesanya because, who's the last guy that was out there really pursuing the takedown, adamantly against a guy like Israel Adesanya? I really don't think there has been too many people doing that. So I got to say, I just accidentally deleted my whole matchmaking list. Don't worry. That's why we got the undo button. We're all good to go. The show must go on. But listen, I haven't seen too many people go out there and adamantly try to take down Israel Adesanya. And I think that's what Glover Teixeira would do. And Glover takes your back. There's no guarantee that you're getting out. So I want to see that fight with him and Izzy. I want to see the fight with Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira. Let me know. Y'all got another idea for Glover Teixeira? Let me know down below. And also, tell me what you think about those lines I said. I said Jan Blachowicz minus 135 just on the merit that he's the current champion. And I said Israel Adesanya minus 275. I think Izzy is a once-in-a-lifetime athlete at this point. So let's see. Matt Drucker just said Vettori. Bro, Vittori's in a different weight class. What the fuck are you talking about? But oh, no, he's saying Vettori tried to take down Izzy. Vettori did take down Izzy. But that was a long-ass time ago. Let's see what happens if they ran it back. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't even worry about that shit. And it's not like what I'm saying here is no one's like adamantly tried to get the takedown on Izzy. Vettori got it in the third round, but it's not like he was shooting the entire fight. So you know what I'm saying? I don't really there hasn't been someone who's been relentless with the takedowns against Israel Adesanya. That's what Glover Teixeira would do. So I got to see that fight, but I still line Izzy a big favorite. And man, like we were talking about with that fight between Glover and Santos, the first round, Santos comes out there throwing some heat, and Izzy and Glover survived that shit, man. He was wobbled bad in that first round, gets the takedown, and props to Santos because I thought that fight was going to be over right away. Then they go in the next round. Glover does some more work on the ground. But then in that third round, Santos came out like a bat out of hell. He drops Glover Teixeira. He gets on top. He's looking to finish the fight. Now, I need y'all's opinion on this because Santos kind of followed him to the mat. And on one hand, you could look at it like, well, he thought the fight was all but over. He had a rocked opponent. He was going, it was business as usual. He was going to finish the fight. On the other hand, you think, hey, maybe you could have let him back up because you know that Glover's got away with those sweeps. You make one mistake on the mat with Glover, and he's going to come out here, take your back like he did and finish the fight. So, yeah, there's a couple different ways to look at that. I'm curious about y'all's opinion. As far as Santos, well, Rakic wanted one of the main event guys. Now he's going to get one of the main event guys. So I want to see Thiago Santos make his return against Alexander Rakic. And I think just based on the fact that, Rakic, put on some nice takedowns against Anthony Smith, and Santos just got choked out, so his stock is kind of down. It'd probably be Rakic about minus 150 in that spot. So that's the fight I want to see. So the options before we move on to the co-main event were Glover versus Jan Blachowicz, Glover versus Israel Adesanya, and Thiago Santos versus Alexander Rakic. Y'all cool with that? I think those are the fights to make. Now, the co-main event of the evening, we had Andrei Arlovsky defeating Tanner Boser via unanimous decision. And props to Andrei Arlovsky. He keeps finding a way to fucking make these fights close, go out there, win these decisions over and over. And even though I personally didn't think he won the fight, I actually kind of scored it for Boser. I kind of favored his activity, but who gives a shit? It wasn't like decisive enough where you can sit here and cry robbery. So props to Arlovsky. He got it done. And listen, we're not, it's going to be all gas, no brakes for Arlovsky because we're not trying to take any easy routes. You're the prospect tester. Well, now it's time to test out some more prospects. You just beat the top Canadian prospect. Well, I got 4 other prospects for you to test out. How about the top American prospect, Greg Hardy? How about the top Moldovan prospect, Alexander Romanov? How about the top UK prospect, Tom Aspinall? And how about the top French prospect, Cyril Gane? These are the kind of guys I want to see in there with Andrei Arlovsky next. So I know it's 4 options. I know we're only supposed to name one, but who gives a fuck? This is my show. I'll do whatever the hell I want. So 4 options. He's got to test out these top prospects. So let's line them. It's Arlovsky versus Greg Hardy. I got Greg Hardy minus 200 in that spot. I know some of y'all disagree because you can't take away your bias against Hardy and all this shit, but get over it. Hardy went the fucking distance with Volkov. Hardy's been improving every fight. Hardy's legit. Let's see Hardy in there with Arlovsky. I'd take Hardy minus 200 in that spot. Alexander Romanov, the top Moldovan prospect. Listen, this kid's relentless, man. I love his takedowns. I love the fact that he knows exactly where he wants the fight to take place. And give him a chance to work on his stand-up, too. Him and Arlovsky is a good fight. I'm thinking Romanov minus 225. Tom Aspinall. Now, this would be the closest line, just because even though I think Tom Aspinall is a very bright prospect, I got to admit that, going from some, no offense, but some French bum in Bordeaux that he just fought to Andrei Arlovsky, that's a big step up in competition. But with the kind of potential that I think Aspinall has, I'd still line him a favorite over Andrei Arlovsky. But I'm thinking a little bit more conservative. I'm thinking minus 175 for Tom Aspinall against Andrei Arlovsky. And then we got to talk about Cyril Gane. I think he'd be the biggest favorite out of the bunch. I think the top French prospect in the world right now, Cyril Gane, I'm thinking minus 305 against Andrei Arlovsky. So once again, I got Hardy minus 200 against Arlovsky. I got Romanov minus 225 against Arlovsky. I got Aspinall minus 175 against Arlovsky. And I got Cyril Gane minus 305 against Arlovsky. Y'all can think of some other prospect I left out, because I think those are my 4 favorite heavyweight prospects right now. They all represent different countries. Arlovsky is the prospect tester. So, I mean, listen, I'm done with these fucking Ben Rothwell or fucking Struve or, Philippe Lynch. Like, fuck all that shit. Let's get him in here, test out some more prospects, and take it from there. And Matt Drucker said, did I say Dawkins? No, I didn't say Dawkins. I like Dawkins, though. He's been proving himself 2-0 in the UFC. He's been doing his thing, but I'm talking top prospects right now. So Hardy, Romanov, Aspinall, or Gane, those are my options. And Goldcap says that he says, I'd bet him versus Hardy. Interesting. Well, you'd get dog odds for sure. I'll tell you that much. Now, Ioni Barcelos. Man, this fucking guy is so damn impressive. He's as well-rounded as they get. And like I told y'all going into this fight, I didn't say this after the fact. I said this before the fact. I had him top 10 in my power rankings before this fight with Taha. And I thought Taha's only chance to win this fight would be, a puncher's chance or, catch him with something. And let me tell you something. In that first round, I know you guys remember when Ioni had him hurt with a big shot and Ioni's going in there. Ioni got excited. Ioni's teeing off on him. Ioni put his hands down. Ioni got rocked with the left hook. I was like, oh, shit. But, man, Ioni is so damn good, so well-rounded. He's a top 10 guy right now, like I told y'all already. And what I think for Ioni, firstly, let's talk about the fight. I got to give Taha a lot of credit, man, because I was thinking one back take and the fight will be over shortly after. Well, guess what, guys? He got his back in that first round, and the fight wasn't over shortly after. I mean, Taha was able to escape all those bad positions. I got to give Taha a lot of credit, man, because if you see some of his fights in the past, I think in Ryzen, he got choked out by some random dude, and he's come a long way. You watch his fight with Nadner Amani, he got held down. You watch his fight with Bruno Silva, he got held down that second round. Taha came to fight, man. Taha is a very exciting guy. He hits like a truck, and he's got the heart of a lion. So I like this kid Taha, but Barcelos is a serious talent right now. I mean, Barcelos, look, when you talk about grappling in MMA, for the most part, you either talk about jiu-jitsu or you talk about wrestling. I mean, in some exceptions, you talk about judo, but for the most part, it's either wrestling or jiu-jitsu. And people either have one or the other. They usually don't have both. When you talk about Ioni Barcelos, not only is he a black belt under his dad, who's a 7th degree black belt, by the way, a Corel belt, which means he's a black and red belt. So you think, hey, it ends right there. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. That's good enough. He's also a Brazilian wrestling champ too. And then you take it a step further. Like I mentioned on Half the Battle, this is a guy that he went to the boxing gym and all the boxers were like, hey, who's this MMA guy? This guy can fucking bang too. So Raoni Barcelos, I said he's a top 10 guy. He might be a top 5 guy right now. I mean, because like, think about it. I got him over like Dominic Cruz and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to the future Hall of Famer, but I got Barcelos over Cruz right now. If TJ inject a shot when he comes back, you know, let's see how he's looking off the EPO. I got Barcelos over him too, but we got to take it in stride because now he's officially cracking the rankings. So, you know, Merab called him out. Well, Merab, you want Barcelos? You're going to get Barcelos. That's what you want? Well, your wish is my command, like the genie says. So Barcelos versus Merab is a hell of a fight for me. And I want to see that or a little bit of an easier matchup. And I say this with all due respect, but what about Cody Stamen versus Barcelos? Just to get Barcelos' feet wet in the top 10 of the bantamweight division. Now, my boy Will Martin. Shout out to my boy Will Martin. This is a real motherfucker right here. I fuck with him till the day I die. Actually met him in person in Vegas. Will Martin's my boy, and I know you've been going through some shit, so, you know, got to tip my cap to you and wish you all the best. But he says he matched up Raoni with Barboza. Now, don't get me wrong. I like that fight a lot, but actually, I had some other plans for Barboza, which we're going to get to soon. And listen, if the plans that you have for Barcelos and Barboza don't come to fruition, or the plans I have for Barboza don't come to fruition, there's always the Sodiq Yusuff versus Barboza fight that was supposed to happen. And people are like, well, Sodiq pulled out of that fight. No, he didn't. What happened was Sodiq didn't get his visa to go over to Fight Island is what happened. They had an issue with a Nigerian going to Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. I don't know why. I mean, he doesn't have any crimes in his record. I don't know what the fucking big deal is, but I want to see Sodiq Yusuff versus Barboza. But I like your suggestion. But Raoni's down at bantamweight now, but it's still a great fight. I mean, Brazilian on Brazilian crime. You can't go wrong. But what I'm thinking here, like I told y'all, is Barcelos versus Merab. Merab called him out. If that's what you want, that's what you get. Or Barcelos versus Stamen, kind of an entry level to the top 15. Now, to line these fights, Barcelos versus Merab, even though I personally favor Barcelos, you got to line that fight a fucking pick up. -110 apiece, -115 apiece. Both have been super impressive. Great fight. But I do slightly edge Barcelos because I think he can match the wrestling, but then I think he's got edges on the feet in the jiu-jitsu as well. But Barcelos versus Stamen, I'm thinking -250 for Raoni Barcelos. So that's where I stand with that. Let me know what y'all think about those lines. Now, as far as Taha, hey, I'm mostly matching up the winners, but for Taha, I mean, when you put on a fucking show like that, and I saw some people crying about, well, why did Glover and Santos get fight of the night? Guys, Glover and Santos are getting 6 figures guaranteed. Let's spread the wealth a little bit. Let's let these guys who are barely 5 fights into their UFC careers get a nice 50K bonus for once. I'm happy for Barcelos and Taha getting that 50K. And not only that, because I know someone's going to say, well, it shouldn't be about how much they get paid. It should be about the performance. And I agree. You're right. But the Glover and Santos fight was basically one-sided minus the 2 moments that Santos had. Whereas Barcelos and Taha, I was on the edge of my seat the entire fucking time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking Taha versus Sean O'Malley. Y'all like that fight? Hey, they're going to go out there and bang until one man falls. It's a very exciting fight. No one's going to be shooting for takedowns or any bullshit like that. And I say any bullshit like that with all due respect because you guys know I got a big love for grappling too. But I know y'all want to see 2 men stand and bang until one guy falls, and that's exactly what Taha and O'Malley would do. O'Malley needs a rebound. Taha's also coming off a loss. Let's fucking see it. But I would think O'Malley would probably be lined -230 on the opener. So Sean O'Malley versus Khalid Taha. That's what I'm thinking, guys. What do y'all think? Y'all got a better fight for Taha? Matt Drucker says Sean O'Malley doesn't accept that fight. Why do you say that? I mean, he accepted a fight with Jose Teco Quinones. I mean, I don't think he's in a position to be picking and choosing right now, to be quite frank with you, man. He's coming off a loss where he got embarrassed. Let's be 100% with that. So, and Taha just got a fight of the night in a featured bout. So now his name is elevating a little bit. I think that's the fight to make. But like I said, O'Malley -230 in that spot. Now, Will said, he said wrong division, but he said Merab has to be the fight for Barcelos. I like that fight. Listen, unless you want to go separate routes and build them both up to their title shots, get out the Stamens, get those guys out the way, give one of them Dominic Cruz. You know what I'm saying? Well, I know my boy Will knows exactly what I'm talking about, but listen, in terms of just a competitive, badass top 15 fight, Merab versus Barcelos, you can't go wrong with that. All right. Giga Chikazi. Now, he handled this kid, Simmons. He handled him accordingly. And real quick, shout out to my boy, Mr. Hockey, who hooked me up with the Jamie Simmons footage and let me know that there actually was value on Giga at minus 500, because I was thinking, hey, this guy's a Wisconsin wrestler. This guy's this guy's that. When you're talking about that kind of juice, like, what if he gets taken down? And thank you to Mr. Honky for hooking me up with that footage and letting me know that, hey, Simmons has no business in there with a guy like Giga Chikazi. So that minus 500, there was value on that. I mean, he closed like minus 1,000. So I got some options for Giga. But before we do that, my boy Will says, what are your thoughts on Taha's original matchup with Jack Shore? Hey, I like that. I like that fight a lot, because I think that Shore obviously has got the edge on the map, but unlike the Barcelos fight where like Barcelos can hold his own against a guy like Taha on the feet, I'd actually kind of fear for Jack Shore standing. So I think originally it was probably going to be like a huge line on Jack Shore, just like it always is, man. Like it was going to be like minus 500 for Jack Shore or whatever, because people are thinking one takedown and the fight's over shortly after. But now that, Taha just proved that, hey, I can survive on the mat with a guy like Barcelos. I am improving. I am getting better in every aspect of the game. I think it'd be a little bit closer. So I'm thinking, minus 250 to minus 300 for Jack Shore if they were to run it. But yeah, I'd be worried. And if I bet Jack Shore, I'd be sweating every single striking exchange in that fight, man. But back to Giga Chikazi. Will, you brought up Barboza. Now, I know you know where I'm going with this, my man, because I'm thinking Giga Chikazi versus Edson Barboza. Listen, Giga's about to enter the top 15. Barboza's waiting for him at the end of the top 15. You got two strikers. Neither guy's going to go for a takedown. And you got the glory champion in Giga Chikazi taking on the man in Edson Barboza, who's the only guy in UFC history to have won fights by knockout via head kick, body kick, and leg kick knockout. So Edson Barboza, historically one of the best kickers in the history of the sport. I have to fucking see Edson Barboza versus Giga Chikazi before it's all said and done. Now, don't get me wrong. I still really want to see the Sodiq Yusuff versus Edson Barboza fight. So if they want to go ahead and make that, I'm down. I love that fight. I have to see that fight. But a part of me really wants to see Chikazi versus Barboza, just because they're gonna have a dick measuring contest. Let's see who the better man is. Let's see who kicks harder. Let's see who's got the better chin. Like, let's see who can let's draw a line in the sand and see who's still standing after the 15 minutes or less are up. So I have to see Barboza versus Chikazi. Now, if they want to go in a different direction, if they want to go ahead and hook up Sodiq Yusuff with Barboza, listen, Chikazi and Jeremy Stephens were talking a little bit of shit. Now, I know my boy Arnold Allen has got dibs on the Jeremy Stephens fight, and I think that Arnold Allen would comfortably win a decision there, and I'm down for that. But sometimes plans change. Sometimes things don't go according to plan. Sometimes things, that were supposed to happen don't always happen. So if Allen lost his opportunity, which would suck because it wasn't him that pulled out. It was Jeremy Stephens that pulled out. Life isn't fair, man. So if they want to go ahead and do Giga Chikazi versus Jeremy Stephens, sign me the fuck up. I think that's a great fight right there. So those are my options, and I'm thinking Chikazi minus 125 against Barboza, just a slight favorite. And then I'm thinking minus 175 against Stephens. So tell me what y'all think about those odds. And real quick, do me a favor. Go ahead, retweet my tweet, and let people know that you're out here hanging out with me. Let's get some more people in this chat. I truly appreciate it. And we're about to do the next matchup real quick. And also, Jamie Simmons. Hold on a sec. Matt, are you purposely trying to get all your fucking questions shown on here? Chikazi is a fraud? What? How the fuck is he a fraud, bro? He beat Jamal Emmers, who clearly has a wrestling advantage. Not only did he beat him, goes out there and sweeps him, then he took Omar Morales' O away from him. I mean, he went out there against Omar Morales, who was undefeated. He beat him in every area of the game. A fraud in what sense? Because he lost a million years ago to Austin Springer? Those days are long gone, man. You got to respect the evolution in his game. So I wholeheartedly disagree when you call a guy like Giga. I keep saying his name wrong. When you call a guy like Giga a fraud, no, he's not. I mean, unless your standards are so fucking high that, you know what I'm saying, you're calling hold on 1 second, that you're calling, you know, guys that are 5-0 in the UFC on the kind of run he's on a fraud. If he's a fraud, what does that make Jamie Simmons? That's my question. If Giga Chikazi is a fraud, then what is Jamie Simmons? You know what I'm saying? If Giga Chikazi is a fraud, then what is Omar Morales? He said he's beating a bunch of fat bantamweights. Omar Morales is a fat bantamweight? He's been fighting at 55 his entire career. Sit the fuck down, young man. Now, so I said Chikazi minus 125 against Barboza. I said minus 175 against Stevens. Simmons, I don't know about Simmons, but we'd love to have Simmons in the NFC. But Yan Xian, man, you guys know I got a soft spot for my girl, Yan Xian. I mean, you know, ever since that UFC debut against Kylan Curran, where I went out there and max better, and you could sit here, you could be like, well, it doesn't take a genius to max better against Kylan Curran or actually, why don't you guys go back and hear what the fuck other people were saying going into that fight? Because that wasn't the tune going into that fight. I mean, for me, it was the tune because me and Shaq, this is back when we were giving out free bets. We gave out the free max bet. I mean, we invented max bet season. Go to maxbetseason.com. And people were tailing us for free back then on that max bet on Yan Xian against Kylan Curran. So you take it a step further, and now it's easy to say, oh, she just beat Kylan Curran. It's like, yeah, well, she was minus 105 against Kylan Curran. If it was such a, you know, hindsight genius play, then how come she wasn't minus 275 in that spot? How come she wasn't minus 500? She was minus 105 against Kylan Curran. But back to my point, back then, you know, people were saying shit like, oh, who's this random fighter from China? Because people were really down on the Chinese fighters back then. And they were saying, oh, a female Chinese fighter? Oh, forget about it. Whereas I was saying, dude, she's out here sidekicking these women to the face. She brings a different type of ferocity, a different type of intensity to the table. This girl is legit as fuck. Now she's 6-0 in the UFC. I've cashed on her all 6 fights. And now she's going out there beating Angela Hill, beating Karolina Kovacevic, and most recently went out there against Claudia Gadelha, the former #1 contender, the perennial top 5 fighter, someone that's been in there with Joanna Youngjae twice, and she took her to school. Now, I personally had it 30-27. Listen, I understand why all 3 judges scored that first round for Claudia Gadelha because she got taken down. You know, Claudia landed a takedown or 2, so, you know, big deal. I guess the aesthetics of that, but like what I was watching was, Yan Xian was making her work. Yan Xian was piecing her up from bottom. Y'all saw those elbows from bottom. Yan Xian landed more shots from bottom than Claudia did on top. And then second round starts. You already know what happens when Claudia gets out that first round. She starts doing what we like to refer to as the Nova. And that's when the fighters from Nova and they turn into walking mummies. You know what I'm saying? And the output just waned significantly. And that's where my girl Yan Xian went out there, teed off on her to a point where the takedowns weren't coming easy anymore. And I'm so proud of Yan Xian, you know, someone who doesn't have a wrestling background, doesn't have a jiu-jitsu background, and she was going out there stuffing the takedowns, getting back up from bottom, and, you know, and hold on 1 second. Interest Game says, did Reyes make a mistake fighting Yuri Prohaska next? That's a good question. Well, I'm going to answer that at the end of the show, but I had to show the fans you asked that question because I think it's a very good question. But back to Yan Xian, the kind of improvements she's been making in her wrestling defense to be able to keep these fights standing where she's got a massive edge over everyone. It's pretty fucking great to see, man. And now against Claudia Gadelha, who not only has, you know, the accolades in terms of being the former #1 contender, she's been in the strawweight division since the beginning, but also she's the first black belt that Yan Xian fought. She is a legitimate black belt under Andre Pederneiras, who I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you give Jose Aldo his black belt? And you know, all those guys, Leo Santos and Renan Barao, all those great fighters. So, and for all you noobs that are going to try to be like, why is he calling Renan Barão a great fighter? Guys, I'm not talking about, washed up Renan Barão who's at the end of his run now. I'm talking about back when he was 32-1 and he was a fucking UFC champion. I'm talking about that guy. You guys need to go back and rewatch Renan Barão's old fights because that dude, remember when he spinning back kicked Eddie Wineland in the face and then he did that little dance? You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about that Renan Barão. Or the Brad Pickett fight, or as we like to say in Brazil, Brad Pickett. That fucking Brad Pickett fight was one of the best one-round fights I've ever seen. Make sure y'all see that. And Brad Pickett beat Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, just so y'all know. But anyways, back to Yan Xian. So I got 3 options. The first option is, if you really want to solidify that you're the number 1 contender in the division, if you really want to show that, hey, I'm ready to come out here and get this China versus China showdown for the title, I'm talking about Yan Xian versus Weili Zhang, you want to go out there and solidify that, no questions asked. How about Joanna Youngjae versus Yan Xian? Because listen, you want to be the strawweight queen? How about you beat the strawweight queen? You know what I'm saying? Joanna Youngjae has the most title defenses in the history of that weight class. She's got if you walk into Joanna Youngjae's house right now, she has the most strawweight belts out of anyone, more than Rose, more than Carla, more than Weili. So Joanna, the greatest strawweight of all time, and my girl Yan Xian won't have to worry about being taken down there. But even if she does have to worry about that, you saw how she handled it with Claudia, who, by the way, Claudia took down Joanna and had dominant positions with her back in their fight, man. So I have to fucking see Yan Xian versus Joanna Youngjae before it's all said and done. And I got a couple other options too. If Joanna is taking some time off after that Weili fight, she's not trying to get back in there too quick, let's go ahead and fucking see the title fight. I know that Weili's fighting Rose Namajunas, and I know a lot of you guys are fanboys for Rose Namajunas. Listen, I think Rose is a great fighter, but let's be 100% honest. Between you and me, guys, Weili Zhang is beating Rose Namajunas. I mean, I'm not even convinced Rose Namajunas beat Andrade that second time, but that's a different story for a different time. After Weili Zhang gets past Rose Namajunas, I have to see Weili Zhang versus Yan Xian in China, main event, pay-per-view. Wake me up at 4 a.m., charge me the full price. I am in. But if they want to kind of take a step back just to kind of, keep her active, and, someone else who's got a big name who's on a win streak right now is Carla Esparza. And people actually think that'd be a tough matchup for Yan Xian because of the takedown ability of Carla Esparza. Let me just tell you guys this right now. Carla Esparza would not sniff a takedown on Yan Xian. I mean, you guys saw how she stuffed Claudia Gadelha. Claudia Gadelha was someone who was out there taking down Carla Esparza. This is not Marina Rodriguez anymore, you guys. Yan Xian is someone who will fight for the title. And I love Marina. That's no disrespect, but you guys see what happens anytime Marina fights a grappler. It's either a draw or a split decision loss. You see what happens anytime Yan Xian fights a grappler. She just beat one of the best black belts in the division. And don't even try me on no Tatiana Suarez bullshit. Tatiana's out the rankings. She's injured. She's inactive. We think Tatiana Suarez needs to take a couple more fights before we consider taking a fight with her. We think we're interested in ranked opponents only. So don't even try me on no Tatiana Suarez shit. It's either Joanna Youngjae, Weili Zhang, or Carla Esparza next for Yan Xian. So let's line these fights. Joanna versus Yan Xian. Now, I know for my personal line, I got Yan Xian minus 225, but I also know that's not realistic. I know Joanna is going to be favored because, she's a strawweight queen. Everyone loves her. Everyone makes up this bullshit story about her beating Weili Zhang just because they have the dog odds on her when she didn't beat shit, guys. She had a fucking thing growing out of her head. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, it would probably be Joanna minus 150 against Weili Zhang just because of the kind of respect, the accolades, the history she has in the division. So I understand it. Joanna minus 150. Weili, on the other hand, she's the champ. She's a little bit more well-rounded than Yan Xian, just in terms of we've seen Weili knock people out, but we've also seen her tap people out too. So Weili minus 175 against Yan Xian. Now Yan Xian and Carla Esparza, I'm thinking Yan Xian minus 200 on the opener against Carla Esparza. And if somehow she gets matched up with Rose, I'd see it being kind of like an even line because people are fucking in love with Rose to a point. All right. Now, Brendan Allen, you guys already heard, he's fighting Sean Strickland this weekend. I cannot wait to see what the odds are. I'm not going to say what my odds are because that would be possibly giving away an edge. But all I got to say is that I'm very excited about Brendan Allen versus Sean Strickland. And if you guys didn't hear, it's going down this weekend at UFC Vegas 14. Now, anyways, Trevin Giles, he went out there, he beat Bevon Lewis. And I was saying in my breakdown, if Bevon Lewis is caught up, if he's ready to go against a guy like Trevin Giles, then he can come out here and win. If not, then Trevin Giles is definitely the guy to come out here and hand him another defeat. And that's exactly what he did. Trevin Giles just wanted it more. Man, it really seems to me like that Uriah Hall fight took away all the confidence from Bevon Lewis. I mean, he hasn't been fighting with the same spirit every single fight. I mean, you saw that Darren Stewart fight, completely gun shy in that spot. Hey, real quick, Will Martin, if you're still watching this, you want to hop on here with me? I just thought about that. Why don't you send me a DM real quick? Let's get you in here, man, because I'd love to have you join me. But back to this. So Trevin Giles, man, he did a good job. He just bullied the kid the entire fight. I mean, it showed that Bevon Lewis has to go see a fucking shrink, man. Bevon Lewis has to, he's got to figure things out upstairs. I mean, he's got the physical tools, he's got the look, he's got the skill set. It's just after Uriah Hall, you know, I don't like using terms like someone took someone's soul, but would you guys agree with me when I say that maybe there's a chance that that Uriah Hall might have took Bevon Lewis's soul? Because like, if you think about it in these terms, guys, like Bevon Lewis was only like how he was like 5-0 at the time. He was only 5-0 at the time when he fought Uriah Hall. Hold on, I'm sending Will a link real quick. I don't know if he's still in here, but if he is, he's more than welcome to join me. All right, just sent it to him. All right, now back to this. So Bevon Lewis was like 5-0 when he fought Uriah Hall, and like Uriah Hall is a fucking guy that's knocked out Gegard Mousasi, a guy that's knocked out Jocko, a guy that's knocked out Anderson Silva. Like Uriah Hall's on a completely different level. So it was one of those things where we saw the talent of Bevon, we saw the kind of confidence he was fighting with, and then you saw him against Uriah Hall. He goes out there, dominates the first 2 rounds, but he gassed himself out. And then when he got caught with that big shot, I mean, not only did he lose consciousness, but he lost his confidence too, man. And he hasn't been the same since. Even the fight he won against Daquan Townsend, who's like the easiest fight in the division, who went 0-4 in the UFC, it just wasn't the same, man. So, yeah, it sucks, man. We'd love to have you in the NFC, but confidence is a bitch, man. When you lose your confidence, it's really tough to gain back. So I wish him nothing but the best. But as far as Trevin Giles, so I was thinking they can match up Brendan Allen and Ian Heinisch again, but they're not doing that because Strickland's fighting Brendan Allen. So what about Giles and Heinisch? Y'all like that? I think Giles and Heinisch is the way to go. I like that fight a lot. And personally, I line Giles and Heinisch a pick'em. You know, I think that Giles and Heinisch, it's really about who's on that night. You know, maybe a slight lean on Heinisch because he's kind of higher up the rankings, but for me, that fight is a dead pick'em, and they fight 10 times. I think it's a different outcome every single time. So Giles and Heinisch, I'd line it -110 apiece. Now, do y'all agree with that, or y'all disagree with that? I mean, do y'all think that one of those guys would have a significant edge in that spot there, or am I on money when I say that Giles and Heinisch would be a dead pick'em at -110 apiece? So let me know what y'all think about that. Now, Alexander Romanov, man, I was very happy about this because y'all should have heard some of the bullshit that was going around online from people when talking about the Alexander Romanov fight. They were saying Peizao was a live dog. They were saying, you know, it's like they never watched a single De Lima fight in their lives. Guys, when De Lima gets taken down, he gets finished. And I got to give De Lima a lot of credit. You know why, guys? I'll tell you why. He did 2 things that I did not expect. The first thing he did, he got up from the first takedown. So that right away, I was like, whoa, wow, he got up from the first takedown. You know, listen, I mean, I picked it to be a first-round submission. It was a first-round submission. But breaking down the performance, the fight starts out, beautiful blast double by Romanov. I'm thinking, oh, fight's over now. Go ahead, schoolyard headlock this guy, and let's secure this leg of the parlay. And De Lima gets back up from the first takedown. So I got to give him a lot of credit for that. I did not expect that to happen. Then, he landed a couple hard leg kicks. Listen, De Lima's a very hard hitter. We know this. If you stand with De Lima, he's going to throw heat. It is what it is. But then we finally got him down again. Forearm choke. So I was wrong. I was thinking it was going to be a schoolyard headlock, but it ended up being a forearm choke against De Lima. And the second place where I was wrong. So the first one was he got up from the first takedown. The second one was I was thinking it was going to be a quick tap. He actually went to sleep. So props to De Lima. I mean, don't get me wrong. It'd still be an L on his record if he tapped, but like normally he like quick taps before shit's even locked in. Here, he went to sleep like a true warrior. So De Lima got up from the first takedown. He didn't tap when the submission was locked in. Props to De Lima, but it was still a first round submission for Romanov as expected. And I already matched him up, like I told y'all. I think him versus Arlovsky, minus 225. But if they don't want to do that, and you guys already know, when you call someone out, oftentimes you get your wish. And he called out Marcin Tybura. I'm down for that fucking fight. They were supposed to fight once, so one of them had to pull out. I believe it was actually Romanov that had to pull out because then you remember it was Tybura versus Maxim Grishin. But let's rebook Romanov versus Tybura. I'm thinking minus 165 for Romanov in that spot. What do y'all think about that? All right, so before we move on, I said Romanov versus Arlovsky, Romanov versus Tybura. Like I said, I got a minus 225 over Arlovsky, and I got a minus 165 over Tybura. And my boy Felipe Fuentes says, now is it Fuentes or Fuentes? He says that forearm choke was nasty. It was nasty, bro. I mean, like, first forearm choke in UFC history was really badass to see. I'm happy for the guy. And it's cool to see these heavyweights coming out here with like these low percentage unorthodox finishing moves. Like you saw Juan Espino go out there and get the schoolyard headlock. You saw Alexander Romanov coming out here with the forearm choke. So I think it's pretty badass. Julian, what's up, Julian? He says, hey, Dan, silly question. Do you prefer the UFC entrances or Bellator's WWE style entrances with the ramp? I mean, listen, man, I think that they're both fitting for their respective organizations. You know what I mean? I think that the Bellator one works in Bellator, and I think that the UFC one works in the UFC. I don't have a preference. I just kind of feel like if UFC kind of tried to do the Bellator one, it would kind of not really work out as well. You know what I mean? So I kind of like how they each have their own vibe going on, man. I think they should keep it that way. So great question, man. It was not a silly question at all. So y'all can start piling up the questions because we're getting towards the end of this show in terms of the matchmaking. I only got 3 more fights to match, and then I'm going to do a fan Q&A. So y'all can go ahead, ask me anything you want, literally almost anything you want. I mean, keep it respectful. But I mean, if you want to disrespect me, that's fine too. I appreciate you watching. I thank you for the view. But go ahead, ask me anything, and I'm going to go ahead and match up the rest of these fights. So Darren Elkins, man, the damage. You did a great job, man. And I got to say, props to anyone that bet Elkins there, because Elkins actually turned out to be a bit of a lock, man. Like, that was easy work. And actually, a lot of people might disagree with this. I was surprised that 2 judges had the second round for Garagori. Like, to me, it seemed like this. Garagori would, like, land a nice shot, but then he'd immediately be taken down and controlled. And, man, I actually got a bone to pick with the fight IQ of Garagori, because, like, to me, Garagori would like go out there, he'd land a hard shot, he'd rock Elkins, and then it'd be like, hey, 2 more of those, you're going to knock this guy out. And then Garagori would initiate the clinch and tie up with him. I was like, oh my fucking God. If I had money on Garagori, or if I know anyone that had money on him, I can imagine them fucking throwing the remote at the TV, doing the whole bit, walking away, just being like, are you fucking serious right now? Because it's like, he's like 2 punches away from knocking him out. And instead of separating, trying to land those shots, he goes and initiates the clinch with a guy who is far superior to you in that area. But I scored every round for Elkins, and then he submitted him in the 3rd round. Great job by Elkins. So normally I want to, match up Darren Elkins with like up and coming prospects. And normally I do that. But actually, I thought of a matchup between, 2 guys who kind of like are known for just like pushing that pace and breaking guys. And I don't know why. I just think this is a really good matchup. So what about Darren Elkins versus Jared Flash Gordon? Not Jared Gooden. Jared Gooden's a 70-pounder. I said Jared Flash Gordon, Bilal's friend. So Darren Elkins, Jared Flash Gordon. I feel like those 2 would push the pace on each other. It'd be a battle of wills. Who's got more heart? Who wants it more? You know what I'm saying? Or who would land the damaging blows? I mean, like the damaged Darren Elkins, he gets cut every fight. But with Jared Gordon, on the fights he loses, he gets knocked out every fight. So I fucking love that fight. And both guys are relentless. They'll go out there. They're down to get down. They're down to get grimy, dirty, and fight to the bitter end. So give me Darren Elkins versus Jared Gordon. I would line it a pick 'em. maybe a slight lean towards Jared Gordon, maybe like minus 115 Jared Gordon, minus 105 Darren Elkins, something like that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. So Max Griffin, man, he went out there, he beat Ramiz Brahimaj. And so it's interesting because when you watch Ramiz's regional tape, right, and you see he goes for takedowns relentlessly every single fight. You shot for 0 takedowns in this fight, which was kind of like, yo, like what the fuck, man? Hold on one second. Kevin from Chicago says Elkins versus Cub Swanson. Listen, I like the fight, but we're saving Cub to build up some of our up and coming prospects like Sodiq Yusuf and those guys. So those are the plans we got for Cub. And I'm saying it as if I'm the fucking matchmaker. It's my show, so I am the matchmaker, right? But like I like that fight, but we got to save them for prospects, build up the next generation. Back to Max Griffin and Ramiz Brahimaj. So Ramiz is known for going out here and being relentless with the takedown attempts. He didn't shoot a single takedown versus Max Griffin. One of the reasons why was because the footwork of Max Griffin. Max Griffin was switching stances. He was in and out. The footwork was on point. He was on his bike the entire time. Great job. A great distance by Max Griffin. The second reason was it looked to me like Ramiz ate a fight-changing low blow. And you guys saw he got kicked in the balls. He goes down to his knees. He starts dry heaving. He starts doing the whole bit. But then he doesn't take his full 5 minutes. Then he kind of just gets back up like right away. I was like, dude, like, I know this is your debut. I know you got the weight of the world on your shoulders, but like, take your fucking time. Take the full 5, man. Let yourself recover. Like at the end of the day, the fight's still going to continue at the 5-minute mark. So he should have taken the full 5. I think that's kind of what affected him because I have a feeling, I mean, look, I could be wrong. He could be a complete fraud, but I have a feeling he's going to perform better his next fight. Because that wasn't the guy I saw on tape. The guy I saw on tape was out there shooting relentless takedowns. So, yeah. But anyways, Max Griffin. So, Johnny Velada says, if Max gets the Condit fight, is that another winnable fight for the Natural Born Killer? So, I like where your head's at, man. That's a great question. I think it might be, actually. I think it might be. I was one of the few that picked Carlos Condit against Court McGee. I know y'all remember that. So, yeah, I like that suggestion. Max Griffin versus Carlos Condit. Good idea, man. What I was thinking was, and I know y'all are going to laugh when y'all hear this. Oh, hold on. Before I tell y'all my suggestion, my boy Goldcap says Max Griffin versus Shavkat Rakhmonov, the guy that just beat Alex Oliveira. I like that idea too, man. I like that idea a lot as well. So you guys might got to start your own matchmaking show because y'all make some good ones as well. But the fight I had in mind was, how about Max Griffin versus the co-main event winner of this weekend's fight between Razak Al-Hassan and Chaos Williams? What do y'all think about that? Because listen, Razak and Chaos, it's going to be chaos, just to, no pun intended, but Razak and Chaos are probably going to stand and bang in the middle of the octagon until one man is knocked unconscious inside one round. Then after that, it'll probably be a quick turnaround, because the only way I see Razak versus Chaos being like a 3-round war is if they both empty the clip and then both guys are completely gassed, and then it's kind of like, a sloppy slugfest, which I'm cool with too. I'm down with that shit. But with the kind of heat that both these guys bring to the table, I don't think it's going past 1 round, guys. I really think that Razak and Chaos are going to bang until one guy falls. So, excuse me. The winner of Razak and Chaos, go ahead and take care of Max Griffin real quick. So, I didn't line it yet just because I got to see how Razak and Chaos perform. But I will say this. I do favor Razak and Chaos over Max Griffin as well. And I think it'd be a very exciting fight. What do y'all think? Y'all like it? I know I like it. All right. Last but not least, Gustavo Lopez went out there and he destroyed Anthony Burchak. And man, it was one of those things where he dropped him twice standing, then he took his back, choked him out. So it was nice to see a good performance from him, especially like when your UFC debut is against a guy like Merab Dvalishvili, which is like, that is such like a nightmare UFC debut matchup. So for him to go out there, come back here against Anthony Burchak, UFC vet, and get him below the sub 500 mark, because Burchak was a 500 fighter in the UFC. He was 2-2 coming into this spot. He beat Delano Lopez, beat Joe Soto, but lost to Tomas Almeida and the leg lock guy, Entwistle. Made his UFC return, and Gustavo Lopez welcomed him back to the UFC in style, man. Gustavo Lopez absolutely destroyed him, man. So tell me what y'all think about this matchup. What about Gustavo Lopez versus Tony Kelly? Tony Kelly is the guy that just beat Ali Al-Casey. Both guys are 1-1 in the UFC. Both guys like to stand and bang. It'd be an all-action fight. I think it'd be a hell of a matchup. So I'm thinking Gustavo Lopez versus Tony Kelly. I'd probably say about minus 135 for Tony Kelly. You know what I'm saying? Slight lean towards him, but it'd be a great fight. All right, guys. So done with the matchmaking portion. Now we got to get down to the Q&A. So feel free to ask me anything y'all want, anything. And I'll answer most of these questions. Sometimes, this is interesting. Like sometimes y'all will ask a question and then it won't appear like on my feed, but then I'll go back and I'll see the replay and then I'll see questions I didn't even see the first time. So if I don't answer your question, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because I probably didn't see it. So just keep that in mind. But anyways, let's see what kind of shit y'all are talking right now. So my boy Goldcap says he's got money on Giga Chikazi over both the guys I mentioned. And my boy Warrior says Giga is no fraud. He's legit as fuck. I mean, he's 5-0 in the UFC. You don't just go 5-0 in the UFC, especially in a weight class like that, unless you're legit. And I get it. A couple of the guys he fought or whatever, but like, dude, he beat Jamal Emmers. He beat Omar Morales. Now he's calling for a top 15 guy because he wants to prove how legit he is. So I think he's very, very legit. All right, let's see. My boy Will Martin likes the Joanna Youngjae versus Yan Xian suggestion. So I'm glad someone agrees with me there. Ooh, this is a good question, Matt. Finally, you got a good question for me. Now, I like to bust this kid's balls. He's a longtime fan of the show. Thank you, Matt. So he's asking me, would the Joanna fight be lined differently if it was 5 rounds? You're referring to Joanna versus Yan Xian, right? See, that's a good question right there. I favor Yan Xian personally, no matter what. I got her over Joanna Jacek, whether it's a 3-round fight, a 5-round fight, a no time limit Valetudo fight, or a fight in a 7-Eleven parking lot in my backyard, whatever the case may be. I think Yan Xian is winning that fight. So I'm not sure if the line will be drastically different if it was 3 or 5 rounds. I just know for me personally, I'd line Yan Xian the favorite. But I know based off Joanna being the strawweight queen, based on her having the most titles in that weight class's history, based off her name, I still think she'd probably be the favorite. So I was thinking minus 150 for her, something among those lines. All right, let's see what else y'all got for me. Johnny says, on the money, Bavon won't be the same fighter again. Man, it's unfortunate. The kid's talented. He's skilled. So I'd like to see him get back in there. It's like, who do you put Bavon in there with? Like, Matt says Jack Marshman. I like that suggestion, but like, what happens if Jack Marshman touches Bavon on the chin? Does he eat that shot? Like, because with Bavon, he's got the skills and the talent. He just doesn't have the confidence anymore. So that's going to be really tough to reclaim, man. All right. Bobby Hooper says, Dan, Ben Tooney said, hop on Call of Duty. I know it's been a while since I've been on Call of Duty, man. I've been busy, but one of these days we'll definitely get back on there and have some fun, get another dub. We like getting those dubs. It was fun the time we played, man. So let's make it happen again sometime in the near future. Kevin says, Joe Rogan said Ronda Rousey is the GOAT. I mean, she's the Hoist Gracie of the women's division. She started the whole fucking thing. So you got to give her credit. You know what I'm saying? Intra says Sakai would be my pick to match versus him. Versus Romanov or versus he already fought Arlovsky. So versus Romanov, I like my suggestions better, bro. But I'm down with a Sakai fight as well. Kevin says Yaroslav versus Logan, Bellator welterweight. I'm not sure what your question is, but I'll be watching that fight. Matt says, will we get another interview with your boy Emmanuel Sanchez? He's got a fight this week. Yeah, not this week, but in the future for sure. He actually hasn't been doing any interviews. His social media got hacked, so he's been kind of like trying to get his passwords back and all that shit. And then also, I'm not sure if y'all heard, but I'm not gonna say too much on this, but a lot of people left Rufus Sport. So I'm curious what Emmanuel's training situation was like for this fight. Is all I'm gonna say. Bobby says he's got Flash Gordon in the Elkins fight that I suggested. Intrust says he also would lean Gordon. Yeah, me too. Minus 115 Gordon, minus 105 Elkins. So y'all agree with me there. Let's see what else y'all got. Mr. Matchmaker. Julian says, Mr. Matchmaker, would you put TJ? Who would you put TJ the Snake up against in his return fight? Great question. Let's pull up the rankings and I'll tell you exactly who. All right. Man, if Marlon Moraes didn't just take that brutal loss, I'd kind of want to see that, but not interested anymore. Good question, man. So there's Corey Sanhagen out there, and that's an interesting fight because Corey Sanhagen kind of was really influenced by TJ Dillashaw and kind of like used some of his style, but kind of brought it to like, you know, it's kind of like TJ 2.0 without the EPO, you know what I'm saying? So I'm down to see Corey Sanhagen and TJ Dillashaw. I'm down to see, Jimmy Rivera and TJ was a fight I always want to see back in the day, but not anymore because I think Jimmy and Song Yadong are actually going to fight. There's Barcelos, there's Marab. There's a lot of options you can do, but the bottom line is I want a tough-ass fight for TJ. I want the toughest possible fight he can have. No tune-ups, no nothing. Get him right in there, throw him into the wolves. Like that. That's what I'm thinking for a guy like TJ Dillashaw. My boy Will just hit me back. He said he was putting his little girl to bed, but he'd love to come on in future episodes. Hell yeah, you're welcome on anytime, Will. Family first, my man. All right, so Jack Wagon says, thoughts on Himaya versus Edwards. Let me check what the line is on that fight. I got a lot of thoughts on that. I can't say all my thoughts now. I'll say most of my thoughts for my breakdown, but just know that I love that fucking fight because, okay, it's Himaya minus 170, Edwards plus 140, because a lot of people are saying Himaya's all talk. Himaya fought nobody. Okay, but look how he handled nobody. He fucking ran through nobody. You know what I'm saying? So he wants to fight the top guys. Well, let him fight the top guys. Because look, if you guys have an issue with Himaya, well, then you don't have an issue with him fighting number 3 on planet Earth. Because if he's not the real deal, if he's some hype job, well, then he's gonna get exposed versus number 3. The thing is, I'm not convinced he's some hype job. Like, I understand the level of competition he's been fighting isn't the best, but like, look how he's fucking handled these guys. Like, do you really want to see him fight more fucking unranked guys and just run through him? Let's go ahead and test him. I want to see where he's at right now. I want to know if he's the real deal or not. So I fucking absolutely love this fight, bro, because you have to be a certain level to go out there and beat someone like Leon Edwards. Like, not just any bum off the street is going to come out here and beat Leon Edwards. So if Himaya is the real deal right now, not down the line, not in 5 years, not in 10 years, not next year, if he is the real deal right fucking now, then he's going to come out here and beat him. So that's I love the fight, man. Like, great fight. Julian says, Zhang versus Yan, you like that UFC China? You know I fucking like that, man. I mean, that fight, I have to see it. Like I told you, dude. I mean, even though it'll probably be at the regular time, if they make that China versus China fight, Wiley Zhang versus Yan Xian for the strawweight title, I'm waking up at 4 a.m. I'm paying the full price. Charge me extra for that shit. Don't put any other fights on the card. Just put that fight, forefront marquee matchup, and I'm paying the whole bit for it. So I'm down. Alex says, did you know Jared Vandera got his fight against Sergey Spivak? Yeah, I heard about that. Jared Vandera, he's the kid that won that Contender Series fight last week. They matched him up with Sergey Spivak. So yeah, I saw that. Kevin was saying Yaroslav Ostroli is one of the best high-level fights to make in all of MMA. You think so? Well, I mean, I'm definitely gonna be tuning in. If you're right, we'll know right away. So I saw they got co-main event status over Emmanuel Sanchez, so they better be the real fucking deal for them to get co-main event against over Emmanuel. Matt Drucker says, did I hear Moraes and Rob Font got booked? Yes, I did. That's a really good fight. And it's also a tough fight for Rob Font coming off of ACL surgery, but he might have more activity, so maybe it's not a tough fight. Let's see. Goldcap says, hard not to fade Randa after the last performance. Any early thoughts on the new chick, Kanako Murata? My only thoughts were she fucking lucked out that she ain't fighting Livia Souza, because I was gonna bet Livia Souza in that spot at dog odds. But this is a different fight with Marcos. Marcos is kind of like hard to trust, hard to read because she's skilled, but she's got a lot of lapses upstairs, so you don't really know what to expect from her. And people are making the whole wins one, loses one, wins one, loses one. It's like now she's lost 2 in a row, so who the fuck knows, man? But no, it just depends. Like, is Marcos going to do something dumb? Is Marcos going to pull a stun or not? You know. Alex says TJ and Cody, he's not going to 125 still. Yeah, hell no, he's not going to no 125. You saw what happened when he went to 125 against Henry Cejudo. He got knocked the fuck out. Felipe says, you think they end up finding a late replacement for RDA? Yeah, definitely. I heard a rumor that Ponzinibbio threw his name into the hat. I don't know if there's any truth to that. I hope there is, because I've wanted to see that fight for years, so I'm down for that. Kurt Flirt says, that's a terrible matchup for Himaya if he's going to get blown away. Weren't you the guy that was saying that Himaya's stand-up is suspect right before his last fight too? Or was that someone else? But listen, if it's really a terrible fight for him, we're going to find out right away. We're going to find out right away what the deal is, man. So I don't know. Alex says, if Himayev wins, they will say Edwards had ring rust. Yeah, listen, you guys already know the deal. Anytime the stars win, people make excuses for them. And that's just part of success in general, even in non-fighter terms. You look at baseball players, basketball players, any sport, like baseball for the Dodgers. And props to the Dodgers, they beat my Atlanta Braves, which I got to give them credit. They went out there and they did it. But like, if how the Braves won the World Series, people would say, well, they're not really World Series champions because they won during the shortened season. So people will always try to discredit accomplishments no matter what the case may be. So you just got to ignore the haters, and haters will make up bullshit stories. They'll Photoshop pictures. They'll do the whole bit. They'll do anything to make them feel better about their miserable lives. You know what I'm saying? I got haters too. And it's crazy the extents they go to, man. But yeah, who gives a fuck what they have to say? All that matters is go in there, cash in, and take it from there. You know what I'm saying? Felipe says he loves those dog odds on Edwards. Sounds like you're not the only one in the chat that feels that way. A lot of people seem to feel that way. Oh, Alex says, I meant Cody not going to 125. Is that a thing? I don't know. It seemed like he had a weight cutting issue before the fight with Davison, so I haven't heard anything. So we'll see. All right, Intrust, back to your question earlier. So he said, did Reyes make a mistake of fighting Yuri next? It was either Yuri or Rakic. I don't think Reyes is really in a position to pick and choose his fights right now, man. He's coming off 2 straight losses. The last one was a knockout. So he's got to take whatever they can give him, especially when you had the kind of fight he had with John Jones, where a lot of people acted like he won. I wasn't one of those people, but a lot of people acted like he won. Well, now you got to fight tough competition. And Yuri's only 1-0 in the UFC, so technically this is a step down in competition, right? And they both beat Volkan Oezdemir, so I got to see it, man. Kurt says Himayev is not winning. He's so dead set on that. Well, listen, put your money where your mouth is. That's really all I got to say about that. I mean, that's what it comes down to. That's the beauty of betting. You get to if you're right, you can cash out. You know what I'm saying? All right. Any other questions before I get out of here, guys? Last call for questions. Julian says, how good would Nemkov from Bellator be in the UFC? Beating Bader was impressive. He'd be very good. Oh, man. Could you imagine what happens if they fucking put Corey Anderson in there with Nemkov? I heard some people online talking about how Corey would win that fight. Like, guys, like Jonah Hill, cut. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, Nemkov, he's a kid. He's the real deal. And Corey Anderson was making these quotes about, well, firstly, Corey Anderson was saying a bunch of dumbass shit while he was in the UFC. About how he didn't get any opportunities. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, you fought Jan Blachowicz your last fucking fight. You got knocked out in the first round. What the fuck are you talking about? Had you won that fight, you would have went on to fight John Jones, but you didn't. You got laid out in the center of the cage like you have 4 or 5 other times. So Corey Anderson's a crybaby. And then you look at his fight with Manhoff. He goes to the post-fight press conference talking about how, well, in Bellator, there are no rankings. You just have to perform to move up. It's like, Corey, you fought a 44-year-old who's a former welterweight at 205, who's like 5'6". What the fuck are you talking about? Alex Weber says Ariel and DC want Corey to take on Nemkov next. I don't think Bellator will do that to Corey so fast. Well, at least my boy Alex knows what the deal is. Hey, listen, I'm down to see that. I'm down to max bet Nemkov in that spot if they really want to go there. Jack says, is Chandler worthy of top 5? He's worthy of a top 5 opponent just because of his name, but is he worthy of a top 5 ranking? He's got to earn it first, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, let's throw him in there with a top 5 guy. Let's see if he's top 5 or not, you know what I'm saying? That's the beauty of this game. We get to find out if they're for real or not. Fuck all the talk. Put him in there in the octagon, lock up the cage, and see if he's the real deal or not. So I know I got my opinions about where he stacks, but I got to, you know, capitalize on the hype, on the odds, and take it from there. So fantastic question. Daniel says Corey over Nemkov. They must have not watched Nemkov fight. Oh, hey, listen, this is good. This is good. We got people picking Corey. So this is what we need, because when I go out there and I max bet Nemkov against Corey, I can't have Nemkov be minus 500. I need some good odds. So we need people to be on the Corey side. So I'm glad that I'm not, you know, I'm glad that, you know, we're not all on Nemkov here, and that someone actually gets to go out here and bet Corey too. This is the beautiful thing about this, that, you know, I'm not going to be deleting episodes or any shit. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You know, make a clip about how I was picking Nemkov over Corey if Corey wins. Who gives a fuck? But Nemkov would lay Corey out stiff on the canvas, and that's just the bottom line, my friend. Felipe says, thanks for the stream. Hey, thank you for tuning into the stream. I appreciate it, man. Alex says, first time tuning in. Good show. Till next time. Hey, Alex, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that like button. I truly appreciate it, man. Oh, my bad, Dan. I was talking a little shit. You said, no, I am picking Nemkov. Okay. Well, it was a little confusing the way you worded it earlier, but hey, glad we're on the same side there. So let's fucking cash. And hopefully some people are on Corey so we can get those good odds I was talking about. But anyways, if those are your last questions, I truly, truly appreciate everybody joining me on this special edition. There's 2 shows of After the Battle and BFP Matchmaking. So make sure you'll follow me at Best Fight Picks. Go to bestfightpicks.com for the plays. Subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, all the places where we are available. Shaq and I will be back later this week to break down the upcoming UFC card. RDA versus TBA, whoever that may be. And also, guys, remember to go to manscaped.com and use that promo code BATTLE20, all caps, BATTLE20, for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. And just remember, you do that, you send me a screenshot that you use the promo code BATTLE20, and I will match it with a Best Fight Picks package. So thank you guys again. Thank you, Daniel. Let's cash these bets. Thank you, Matt. Have a good night. You have a good night as well. One more thing. Anton says all these bantamweights are waiting out 33-year-old Barcelos. Hey, that's a good point, man. That's smart. Like, now, I don't want to fight Barcelos now. Let's wait until he's 37 years old. You know what I'm saying? Let's wait till he slows down. I like it, bro. My boy Kurt, see you, man. Peace, peace. Appreciate you guys. All right, I'm heading out. Thank you guys so much. We'll speak soon. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.